Alrighty, in today's video, we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're talking about an e-bike, and I typically do not review e-bikes, but in order to ascend to ultimate drone YouTuber status, I have to review an e-bike. And today we're taking a look at the KBO Flip. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to OriginaldoBo. Today's video, we take a look at the KBO Flip, which I'm not really sure why it's called a flip, because it doesn't flip, it folds, but we'll touch more on that in a minute. So typically I don't review e-bikes, but when KBO reached out to me and asked if I wanted to take a look at the Flip, I jumped at the opportunity because I was looking at e-bikes that I could ride back and forth to my studio on days that I am not doing any photographs or I don't need to be outside of the studio. So as many of you know, I drive a Jeep, and a Jeep is probably one of the more unreliable vehicles that you can purchase. Not only that, gas is pretty expensive, so I was looking on ways to cut back on mileage going back and forth to my house and the office. Office is about 3.5 miles from the house, so it's about 7 miles round trip each day, and there's times where I go back and forth, 2 to 3 times a day. So this is something that I've been riding back and forth when the weather is nice, and in Florida we have good days and we have bad days. Our bad days are usually when it's raining or it's a monsoon. So obviously not gonna ride it in those days, but for every other day, this is what I've been riding so far, back and forth to the office. And it's about 2 to 3 days a week that I take this, and honestly, it's been pretty solid. So let me just go over the design, because the design isn't going to win any awards as you look over it. It's a pretty basic, bland bike. It's more utilitarian, more purpose-based. This particular build has the white pearlescent paint, but it does come in a black version as well. The black version is like sort of a flat black. I opted to go with the pearlescent color because with me riding this at night, I wanted it to be as visible as possible. There's also an area back here where you can use for storage if you want to put a crate or something to carry. I guess you can put a small child, maybe even a small man or woman back here if you wanted to ride with them, like, if you wanted to add an additional seat. Probably not a good idea, but you can do that if you want it. There's a headlight on the front, and then there's a tail light on the rear. The tail light on the rear is battery powered, while the headlight on the front is powered off the battery from the actual bike itself. And you can power that on just by clicking the plus icon on your digital LCD. Overall, it's a pretty nice looking bike. It has 20-inch wheels. It has disc brakes front and rear, along with the Shimano 7-speed shifter. We'll touch more on that here in a moment. As I alluded to, this bike does fold up by clicking this little lever. You have a slider pin. You can unlock that and you can fold it. Now it's pretty stiff, but I'm sure it'll get a little bit looser as I fold it up pretty often. But this allows you to store this in, compact places, or if you have a garage with limited space and you want to go ahead and stow that, you can easily go ahead and do that. Now the battery pack is located just behind the seat. It's a 36-volt battery pack, and that's powering a 500-watt hub motor. Now, I'll tell you, just from my experience using this hub motor, it leaves a bit to be desired. Unfortunately, me being a little bit on the heavier side, I weigh about 215 pounds soaking wet. Going up hills, you definitely need to pedal. So I wish they would have had a 750-watt hub motor, but I guess, keeping this thing sort of low cost and lightweight to fit in the back of a trunk or even a bed of a truck. Now, like I said, it's a 7-speed Shimano shifter. Now, when I got this, I did have to make some minor adjustments to the shifter because it wasn't quite seating into the gears. I would get like that little clicking, like it wasn't all the way into the next speed. So I made some adjustments to it. After making some adjustments, it's been perfectly fine. As far as the brakes go, stopping power of the brakes is fantastic. No one brake is, more aggressive or dominant than the other, which is sort of rare because a lot of times you get these bikes with these disc brakes and the front brakes are super touchy and it'll flip you over the handlebars. That's not the case with the Flip. Now, the Starlight feature obviously is this is an e-bike, and you can go up to 30 miles on just the battery. And in my experience so far, I've put about 17, 18 miles on this so far. That's back and forth between my office. And I'm at roughly just a little over the 3rd battery bar, so that's pretty good if you ask me. Now, you can do up to 55 miles if you're using pedal assist. The nice thing about the pedal assist, it doesn't require you to actually engage the throttle. As soon as you start pedaling, the hub motor knows that there is assistance there and it'll kick in. Now, you have 3 levels of pedaling assistance available. You have 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the fastest of all the assistants available from the KBO Flip. I've basically just been leaving it on 3 and being super lazy, just really relying more on the bike's hub motor to move me than actually pedaling. The top speed of this bike is roughly about 20 miles an hour. I have eclipsed 21 miles per hour, but the average speed that I've been seeing with my current weight is about 17 miles per hour. And I think that that's plenty for just the short commute that I'm having to make. And it also is pretty efficient. Now, the nice thing about this particular build is you do have a key here. If I pull this key out, it will turn the bike off. It'll turn the LCD screen off. So if you want to park it outside and go into the store real quick, you can rest assured that if they do steal this, probably not going to get as far as if you left the key in. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still pedal this without having the key, so it's not, you know, steal proof, but they'll steal it if they want to. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking bike, so I'd hope they wouldn't want to steal it, but if they did, you know, take your key with you. So the battery is removable, so if you have an issue with the cell, you can go ahead and pull that out. Like I said, it's a 36-volt battery. It's 15.6 amp hours, so rather big battery, and that's where the vast majority of the weight is going to come from. KBO does include a charger with this kit, and it's recommended to use the charger that this comes with and not an additional charger that you can purchase on Amazon or eBay. And that's basically to make sure that you're charging at the correct power to fill these cells, because unfortunately batteries can be unstable and you don't want to overcharge it and cause a hazard. Overall, in my experience using this bike, I found that it rides really well. It's super comfortable thanks to the dual piston front shocks and the adjustable seat, but it is an awkward bike, and if you're not a certain height, you're probably going to feel pretty uncomfortable riding this because the handlebars cannot adjust in height. This is basically where the handlebar always stays. So my daughter wanted to ride this and she wasn't able to ride it simply because the handlebars were so high in comparison to the seat. So there's no way to lower this down. So if you're somebody who is shorter, you may struggle riding this just because of the way the handlebars are actually placed. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with this as being my first e-bike. It'll do the job just to get me to and from the studio. It checks off the box that now I'm a legitimate drone YouTuber, because as a rite of passage, every drone YouTuber has to review an e-bike. And what better bike to review than the KBO Flip? Anyways, that's gonna do it for this review. If you enjoyed it or you want more information, be sure to click that link down below. Tell them Dobo sent you. Actually, don't buy this. Don't buy this. Buy a motorcycle. Buy something better. No, I'm kidding. Buy this. Just buy it. Just buy it. Click the link. Give them your money. Have a great day. Stay original. I had an idea, like, I would have my wife in a bikini or thong, but then I don't want to objectify women for personal gain. That would not be a good look. So I'm just going to ride this. The bitches love a bike. Yeah, they love it. They burn out. I'm gonna burn out. I'm gonna, it's going up my butt. But I'm burning out. It's in my ass. It's about the best I got for a burnout. Maybe that'll make a good thumbnail. I don't know.
I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know so